Rob Edwards has quite literally transformed this Middlesbrough side from a side that was very much underperforming under Michael Carrick to starting the season unbelievably well, being one of the best teams defensively, and as well as that, scoring quite a few goals as well. What a transformation from Rob Edwards, but how has he done this? And are Middlesbrough genuine contenders for promotion this season to the Premier League? It will be amazing to see Middlesbrough back in the Premier League. It's a club that we would definitely like to see back in the Prem. If you're a Middlesbrough fan, then do hit subscribe on this channel because we do daily Championship content. We talk about Middlesbrough a lot. So if you are a Middlesbrough fan, please do hit that subscribe button. It only takes 1 second and it'll be very greatly appreciated. And drop a like as well if you do want to enjoy the video, and let's jump straight into it. I'm recording this straight off the back of Middlesbrough picking up a 2-1 win against West Brom and another good performance in Middlesbrough and another 3 points, which now takes them, at the time of recording this video, obviously things will change tomorrow, 4 points clear at the top of the Championship with 11 goals scored to an impressive number of goals scored and just the 4 conceded. If you look at their stats defensively as well, they haven't conceded too many shots and they've been very solid. And again, in that game against West Brom, a very, very good performance. And Rob Edwards is absolutely getting the best out of these players right now, which under Michael Carrick, you know, at times Middlesbrough played really good football. You know, you look at this time last year, I think a lot of people had Middlesbrough as kind of genuine promotion contenders. Let's not forget about that. But of course, second half of the season under Michael Carrick, things just completely fell apart. The football was obviously nowhere near as good, and it was quite a frustrating watch for Middlesbrough. And defensively as well, just weren't at it defensively. They conceded quite simply too many goals. And you look at this defence now, I mean, they've got two defenders that they had last season in Luke Ayling, who at times last season, I mean, I remember watching him at the start of the year against Sunderland when he was up against Enzo Lefebvre, and Enzo Lefebvre ran absolute rings around him. And at that point, I made a TikTok on it. I said, surely Luke Ayling is finished. Like, he looks absolutely finished. He can't be playing for a team at the top end of the Championship. But this guy is absolutely proved me wrong. He's been fantastic so far this season. The addition of Jones at the back has been really good as well. Edmondson I've never really rated either, but he looks like, I mean, he came off after 42 minutes, but he looks like he started the season relatively positive as well for Middlesbrough. So it looks like it's completely different. Of course, with a new manager in Rob Edwards, he's a bit more kind of defensive focus. Obviously, Michael Carrick is very much about the attack. You look at where things went wrong for Middlesbrough last season, you have to say it was at the back, and it was the fact that Middlesbrough maybe didn't address that defensive area as much as maybe they should have in terms of their defensive style. I thought they obviously brought in Morgan Whittaker, spent a decent sum on him. They went more towards the attack. They brought in Ian Acho, and them transfers didn't really work out. We'll speak of Morgan Whittaker a little bit later on in the video individually. But now you look, it's a bit of a different team. Obviously, you've got Jones in there. You've got Target, who's offered really good experience, scored a nice goal as well. Since then, you look at this guy, he's played what? I've played a lot of games at Premier League level, probably well over 100 games at Premier League level. And they've also signed Callum Britton as well, who's a player that's played numerous years at Blackburn and done really well at Blackburn as well. So you look at kind of the signings they've made there with Jones as well. They've brought in very much proven players at Championship level and even at Premier League level with the likes of Matt Target. Goalkeeper we always thought was an issue because, you know, they had Senny Dieng, and whatever goalkeeper they've played, it hasn't really worked out. And they've actually fixed it with a goalkeeper that's been with them for numerous years and did play a bit last season as well in Sol Perrin, who's actually now kept three clean sheets over on the opening 6. It could have been another clean sheet in this game against West Brom as well. And he looks to be, you know, he looks like he's actually kind of fixed up a little bit in goal because he definitely wasn't at it in terms of when I've watched him in previous years. And we already knew Middlesbrough midfield was unbelievable as it was. The midfield duo of Hackney and Morris we saw last season, I've rated by a lot on TikTok last season. I'm a big fan of Morris. He covers so much ground and he really complements a player like Hayden Hackney, who, quite simply, you know, if Middlesbrough say don't go up this season, I know he's had interest. Hayden Hackney did. He almost went to Ipswich. I think he rejected them in the end. Obviously, the right decision, of course. But this is a player that I think if Middlesbrough don't get promoted, I think every single Middlesbrough fan will probably admit that they'll be quite happy to get a good fee for him and say move on to the Premier League and, you know, go and smash it in the Premier League. Because this guy is someone who I think so many Premier League teams could do with a player like Hayden Hackney. Look at the midfield. He has absolutely everything to his game that the Premier League, he would just suit the Premier League absolutely perfect. I mean, you look at all these stats at how high up he is. I mean, defensive contribution 46% still. I mean, I think he's fantastic defensively, very good at pressing and on the front foot in terms of, as I say, pressing and winning the ball back for Middlesbrough. As well as that, you look at him going forward as well, progressive passer. I remember last season, he was the highest in terms of anybody in the Championship. Chances created there, 89% in his position. And you look at that there, I mean, on the ball, he's absolutely fantastic while working really hard off the ball. Still 23 years old. This is a player that absolutely has potential to go and play for a good Premier League. I mean, you look at teams like Manchester United in the Premier League, and like they're so bad in the midfield, and they play that kind of system with two central midfielders. And I know Hackney's had interest from United before, and a lot of United fans actually talk about him. It's one of them where like people probably think, oh, he plays for Middlesbrough, we don't want to sign him, like a big club like United. But, sometimes you just got to swallow your pride. And, I think that'd be a fantastic signing for United. As crazy as it sounds to play from the Championship, he has them kind of attributes where you think he's absolute quality. At this level, he's a top Championship central midfielder who is only going to get better as well. And then you look at the front line as well. They've brought in Nipan, who's coming from Manchester City, only 18 years old. Manchester City signed him for, I believe, maybe £10 million. I might be wrong on that, but they signed him for a decent fee. And he's a guy that's obviously very highly thought of. I mean, if you're getting signed by Pep Guardiola and you're getting signed by Manchester City, you are so good at bringing out gems and getting the best out of players. They're not going to be signing a player like Nipan without him having any potential whatsoever. We've already seen him so far. Made a really good impact against Preston. Made his first start for Borough as well, so he's one that we can definitely keep an eye on. He's only 18 years old. And as well, that Tommy Conway, I've spoken a lot about Tommy Conway on this page previously. I'm a big fan of Conway. He's got 2 goals so far this season. You look at last season, he ended up scoring 13 goals in the Championship. And honestly, it could have been, if he was fit all season, it could have been more. He didn't start all them games as well. He's a player that's got real good ability. I remember he scored an unbelievable goal against Blackburn when I watched that. A really nice turn and finish, and that's what kind of Tommy Conway is all about. A very smart striker, very quick in the box. And as I say, I'm a big fan of Tommy Conway. And they've also brought in another player now who actually got himself a goal, which we'll talk about the goal that they scored, by the way, in a second, as something that is a part of Rob Edwards' game, which, as I say, we'll get into Rob Edwards a little bit later. But it is David Strelak. This guy has been, he's got his first goal, it's his first goal in the game for Middlesbrough, and it was kind of it's a kind of striker's goal that you want to see, in and around the 6-yard box, in a position to put the ball in the back of the net, flick on from Luke Ayling, ball in the back of the net, gets his first goal, got a really good record over at Bratislava. He scored goals in the Champions League previously as well. Actually played really well. I watched him in the game against Germany for Slovakia, where he really, really impressed me in that game. And absolutely, who was he up against? He was up against Rudiger, where he got the better of Rudiger throughout the majority of that match. And Rudiger's a top defender in Europe and literally regarded as one of the top centre-backs in Europe. You wouldn't be playing at Real Madrid if you weren't. And Strelak made him look very, very average in that match. So a very good player they've got in Strelak, who's only going to get better with more time as he kind of adapts to the way that Middlesbrough do want to play. But really good for his confidence, getting himself an early goal in his Middlesbrough career. So as I say, that's really good there. And you look at they got a long throw as well. Long throw goes into the box. Luke Ayling flicks on the throw, which, by the way, like you look at West Bromwich they're up against today, the physical specimens that they have. They got Campbell, who's a centre back predominantly, playing at full back or wing back. He's like 6'2". Diakite's like 6'2". Nat Phillips is regarded as one of the best headers of the ball in the Championship, one of the best in the air. Chris Metham's 6'4". West Brom had 11 players in the box for that long throw. Luke Ayling ends up winning the header, and this is something that Middlesbrough have utilised a few times this season. And Strelak ends up putting the ball into the back of the net. That's kind of something that maybe under Michael Carrick you probably wouldn't be scoring a goal out, because Michael Carrick wouldn't want to be playing in that kind of fashion. And Rob Edwards is prepared to kind of go a little bit more pragmatic and kind of a more, a more defensive approach, you could say. Obviously, with the way it was under Michael Carrick, you'd probably say that's definitely the case. I think that's definitely something that Middlesbrough have definitely benefited from in Rob Edwards coming in. I was very sceptical when Rob Edwards did get appointed. Obviously, we saw at the start the unbelievable job he did at Luton to get them promoted to the Premier League. Of course, then the back-to-back relegation, because Rob Edwards was definitely a part of that second relegation, a big part of that second relegation as well. So there's no denying that Middlesbrough took a gamble on appointing a manager like Rob Edwards, and so far you have to say it's absolutely paid off. I want to talk about the Morgan Whittaker thing as well, because Morgan Whittaker was a player that in the match against Preston, he started the match, he put in a poor performance, got substituted off. The Middlesbrough fans celebrated the substitution, or some of them did, I should say. And Rob Edwards obviously called the fans out. And it kind of shows the character that Rob Edwards is and how he wants to keep things and keep everybody together. He's spoken a lot about the club kind of being together. He wants the club to be like one big family. We kind of got that vibe, of course, at Luton. He wants to have a big kind of group all together, all pushing in the same direction with the fans. And that's absolutely what he's trying to build at Middlesbrough. And, results are obviously going to be the main factor in that, with the fans and the club all being together, pulling in the right direction. And fair play to Rob Edwards calling out the fans, because I didn't agree with it personally. I understand it, right? If you've lost a couple of games in a row, things are tough, and your season's falling apart, and then Morgan Whittaker feel like not pulling his weight. I absolutely understand that. Rob Edwards was very clear saying he works so hard in training, and he absolutely loves working with him every day. Is basically what he was saying. And as I say, Morgan Whittaker, he's struggled since he signed. He hasn't scored a goal yet. And he came in kind of the way that he left Plymouth with a lot of controversy over Miran Muzic and what was said and what was not said. However, that transfer move went about, obviously, it didn't really end. It ended quite sour for him at Plymouth. And it's been a bit of a thing of the past. And I kind of said on TikTok as well, he's got a point to prove here. You know, he's had a lot of questions about throwing at his character. It's up to him now to kind of show what he's about at Middlesbrough, his opportunities playing for a top championship club, which he hasn't really played for in terms of when he played the majority of his career at Plymouth. He was at the bottom of the league. Put him in a good squad. He's obviously got the quality. We all know about that. But he hasn't quite lived up to the hype so far at Middlesbrough. And obviously Middlesbrough, understandably so, by the way. Of course, they are going to be frustrated. But then you can understand with Rob Edwards saying, you know, they're at the top of the league. They hadn't lost a match up to that point. They'd won every single match up to that game against Preston. There was no need to boo him after the end of the match. And I respect Rob Edwards for calling him out, calling the Middlesbrough fans out on that. Obviously, you know, he worded it perfectly. He put it in the right way to something that's not going to rub up the fans the wrong way. I think he worded it really well. Shows Rob Edwards' leadership. And then a good reaction to Morgan Whittaker coming back onto the pitch in the game against West Brom that's just taken place. So hopefully then this situation, because I kind of felt sorry for Morgan Whittaker with everything, you know, even when he got substituted on, you know, he was getting cheered. It all felt like a little bit of a big deal. It's been blown out of proportion. It really isn't that deep, and, you know, let's now get on with it. That's all over now, and we can move on from that. And hopefully Morgan Whittaker can, you know, kickstart his career properly at Middlesbrough, and there's no doubt been a tough start for him at Middlesbrough. So hopefully he can kind of, as I say, find some form in this Middlesbrough side, which is performing really well. And then you look at it, as I say, 5 wins, 1 draw, and really good goal difference, not many conceded. Who knows what could happen this season? As I say, you look at the other teams, and the teams at Middlesbrough are going to be competing with, if they are going to be up there for a sustained period of time. You know, you've got Leicester, which I think will be up there. I mean, Bristol City and Stoke have been really impressive. You do expect, of course, some of these teams to eventually drop off. You'd think Coventry as well have been really impressive. Ipswich are a team where you think they're going to gain some serious ground now. They've just got a 5-0 win. They could really hit some form in this run. Southampton, of course, the early favourites. But you do think that, you know, there's definitely a spot open here, and there's definitely opportunity for a team that maybe we didn't expect at the start of the season. I think I put Middlesbrough in my predictions in and around the might have just put them just outside the playoffs. I think I put Middlesbrough, and that's probably where most people had them. You know, I think there's definitely a gap with some teams underperforming. For one of these teams, you know, it could even be a Stoke, Bristol City, whoever it could be, could absolutely shock the championship. And if they can keep getting these results, you never know. Southampton up next is a massive opportunity to make a real statement in the next match. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that kind of result pans out and how that game kind of pans out. But if you're a Middlesbrough fan, let me know what you think. It's been really positive so far. I've been really impressed. I think performances, the system, the midfield, and the defence has been really decent as well. So it's just kind of positivity all around in the Middlesbrough camp. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below if you are a Borough fan. Be very greatly appreciated to get your thoughts. Drop a like if you enjoyed as well. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Would be greatly appreciated if you could hit that subscribe button. If you're a Middlesbrough fan, we do daily championship content. We talk about Middlesbrough a lot on the page as well. So if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, it'd be very greatly appreciated. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.